Hello, all. Jace here. Wanted to go over a video I just watched with Vivek Ramaswamy, where he's having a conversation with a young college student over the subject of systemic racism and racism in America and all those things that the people on the left are still just clinging on to and haven't quite decided to let go of yet. And it got my mind to thinking, been a while since I've done a video on racism. And it interested me. I want to start off by saying, number one, you know, kudos to this young lady. It takes guts. You see it on this video here. This sea of red hats behind her. It's a very partisan crowd, and it takes guts to get up there and speak your mind whenever everybody in the crowd is going to disagree with you pretty much. So kudos to her for that. That's about the only kudos she's going to get, though, and you'll see why here in a little bit. But I just want to say, to preface all of this, number one, thank you all so much for watching. I took a little break from YouTube, had to clear my head, and I also had some technical difficulties. I had a lot of stuff go on, and now I'm back, and I just wanted to just say hi to everybody, and I hope you enjoy my videos. I hope you'll continue to watch, and I hope I can bring something different to the space than what you normally hear. Like I said, because of my age, because of my background, because of my geography, everything, my Christian nature, I come from things from a different place than a lot of people. So hopefully it's something different than what you would normally hear. I'm definitely more old fashioned, more dyed in the wool conservative than a lot of what you hear these days. But back to the topic at hand, systemic racism. The problem with that term is it's like so many others that have entered the mainstream that it's lost all meaning. Young people like this, they just say systemic racism. They mean racism. It's synonymous with racism now. The term doesn't mean anything to them. They don't understand what that means. There are no systems in America that are inherently racist anymore. Thank God we got rid of all of them. Okay? In the 60s, we got rid of all of them. So thank God there is no systemic racism in America. And it's time for people who have no idea what that term means to stop saying it. Anyway, let's get into a little bit of this conversation. I'll give you guys my thoughts.
To you, being a man of color, when exactly was America great? What period was America great? And if America was great in that period, would you personally go back to it?
Would I go back to 2016 through 2020 in this country? I would. Actually, I think America was great then.
And why do you think America was great?
Was America great for most of our national history? I think we were, actually. I think America was great.
During slavery, during redlining, Jim Crow laws, civil rights movement.
I think, was America perfect? No. Was America great? Yes, it was, actually. Actually, I do think it was.
A very big extreme that you're jumping, because when exactly was America great? America is not great for the African American woman. America is not great for.
I think there's.
Like what? Are we
can I ask you one question?
What exactly
What's your name?
I'm Felicia.
Felicia. What other country for an African-American woman is better than the United States of America?
Well, I live in the United States of America, so I only want to talk about the United States of America.
Right, exactly. So what country, when I talk about whether America is great, I'm not talking about whether America is perfect.
Well, that's why I'm confused, because when was America great for somebody like me? You just told me
I think America's been great. Yeah, so I think America
great. You just told me where somewhere else that America was great.
Yeah, exactly.
So you just told me basically that it wasn't great for me.
I think America is the greatest country on planet Earth for you.
How?
That's what I believe. That's what I believe. Because this is a country where you can achieve the maximum of your God-given potential by working hard.
I am an African-American woman still facing institutionalized, systematic racism.
I don't believe that
yes, I am.
to be true right now.
I am.
There are points in our history where that was true.
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple of things on this, and you guys are you're gonna see a few common themes throughout this conversation. But first off, America is the greatest country that has ever existed. This is no different than saying that Thomas Jefferson held no value in American history because he had slaves. No, they can be, you can have one and the other. Okay. America is the greatest country that has ever existed, and it always has been. That doesn't mean everything that was done was great. It doesn't mean that mistakes weren't made. It has still, it has been and is, and hopefully will continue to be the greatest nation in the history of the world. And you got little girls like this that she can't see any further than her living room. That's as far as she goes. You heard it there. She doesn't even want to talk about the rest of the world because she has no concept of the rest of the world. She doesn't know what it's like to live there. She doesn't know what those cultures are like. She doesn't know those cultures' histories. She has no frame of reference. She cannot even have a conversation about whether or not America is great because she doesn't know what any other country is like. And that's quite apparent here. The other thing you're going to see, and it drove me crazy watching this video, is, and she says later that she wants to be an attorney, defense attorney, of course. And you're going to catch a common theme here. She just did it. She literally asked him how. In the case, in how was America the greatest country in the world for her? She said how. And as soon as he started to answer, and for the remainder of his answer, she talked and talked and talked. If you want to be taken seriously, if you want to be a professional, if you want to go out there and have debates, you have to listen. There's no point asking a question if you're just going to talk over the person trying to give you the answer. Don't ask the question. You don't care what they have to say. Don't engage in the conversation.
I think today you are free to achieve.
And I would like to talk about how people like to bring up affirmative action as well.
Well, let me just address your first point. It
really ain't
I think this is the country on earth where you're able to achieve the maximum of your potential without your skin color standing in your way. This is a country where
that's not true.
I believe it is true.
That's not true.
What are you unable to achieve, ma'am? Felicia, what can you?
Fargo, they literally all
what
of these
do you
other
wish to
banks
achieve?
just got sued for not giving home loans to African American people. That happened in 2024.
So
let
me just ask you, what do you
so-called lower of the property value?
So let me tell you, Felicia.
And its ramifications.
Donald Trump
when
is running
somebody was president.
Donald Trump is running to make America first a reality for all Americans. Let me ask you something very personal, because you made it personal to you. What do you want to achieve in this country that you believe you can't right now because somebody else is stopping you because of your race?
Well, right now, as my future career, I want to be a criminal defense attorney.
Okay.
However, as we can acknowledge, there's only 5% of black lawyers in the United States at this current moment.
My question is, what are you unable to achieve? Because I think you can achieve that. I believe in you. I believe in you to achieve that.
I'm just saying, why is that the case?
And the number, because I believe the number one factor.
Why is that the case?
I believe the number one factor that determines whether you succeed in this country is not your skin color. It is whether or not you actually put in the effort to do what you want.
Yeah, but if you're fighting against an institutionalized system that's going to hold you down, how exactly can you go against that?
I think that there is far greater discrimination in this country by employers against employees on the basis of their political beliefs than there is on the basis of their race.
They don't know your political beliefs unless you express them.
Well, if somebody
they don't know them. How are you being judged
I would
on
tell
your
you,
political views?
I worked in New York City for 10 years. Yeah. If somebody wears that red hat, Make America Great Again, and walks in, they're going to face more discrimination than somebody walks in with black skin. I think that's actually true.
No, they're not.
I think it's true, actually.
They're not. No, they're
it
not.
wasn't always true. I mean, there's points in our history where the reverse was true, absolutely, but not right now.
Trump. I don't see you wearing a Make America Great Again hat, but what I'm saying is... Great, you did a costume change, but what I'm saying is, prior to that, you did not have that on. Prior to that, you didn't have that on. So me perceiving you, I'm perceiving you as a man. I'm not perceiving you as a MAGA supporter, Trump supporter, XYZ. I don't perceive you as that until you tell me that is. So how can you say that somebody's being judged on their political views unless you make those political views known?
I can tell you why.
That doesn't make any sense.
I can tell you why. So I'll tell you a story of a woman. I'll tell you a story of a story that you may not be aware of. All right. So there's a company where a woman, she was wearing a red sweater and held Veterans Day at every Friday to acknowledge veterans in her workplace. It was a little affinity group they created. That's what they called it. Now, there was an employee who said that he considered that to be a microaggression. The employer made her stop doing that. She said, okay, I'm just going to bring my red sweater and put it on Fridays on the back of my chair. The employer still stopped her from being able to do that, too. That's political discrimination based on this an anti-racist environment we've created in America. So the irony is in the name of fighting racism, we've actually created political. She lost her job. She would lose her job unless she stops wearing a red sweater. I think it's wrong in America.
She was hired before that, though. So that means on the basis of they did not know what political
She was about to be fired. She was about to be fired for standing for veterans.
Your whole argument was that you are
There's viewpoint discrimination in America today.
There is. But my thing is, you are saying that you got discriminated against because, or this woman in this case got discriminated against because of her political views. No one knew her political views until she came in wearing red. You are making an assumption that
I think she should be able to do that.
Views,
and I think she should be able to do that.
Automatically fired her or do that stuff. They hired her because of her work ethic, because of her ability.
Let me just share something with you.
I don't know who this woman is, but
this is what happens when you talk instead of listen. This is exactly what happens, is you make yourself look like a complete idiot. She had no idea what they were talking about. She had no idea what his answer was in response to. She was too busy flapping her gums instead of opening her ears.
Are you a senior?
I'm a senior.
You're a senior. And what are you doing for work next? You're going to do a criminal defense attorney? You're going to law school?
Yeah, right now I'm interning.
So let me just share something with you, not as a matter of politics, but it's a matter of somebody who, I'm 39. I've had success in this country. My parents came from nothing. I've lived the full American dream, and I'm really grateful for that. And this is where I'm coming from when I say this. I say this to you just as a fellow citizen who wants to see you succeed and achieve your dreams. The more you view yourself as a victim, the more likely you are to be one. The more you view yourself as empowered, the more likely you are to be empowered. I want you to be empowered. I don't want you to see a world in which there's some invisible lines of hierarchy based on race or gender and that you're being discriminated against, because the more you see the world that way, the more likely you are not to achieve your dreams. Versus if you look at the world and see the world that I see, and this is what America offers, to say that you have your own God-given talents, how are you going to be able to achieve the maximum of your potential? I promise you, nobody is going to stop you in modern America because of your skin color. It's just not going to happen.
They do, but okay.
Give me one. I would love to hear one.
All right, I'm going to cut there for just a second because they're going to go into, of course she can't give him an example, but I'm going to say a couple of things on this. Number one, she knows, and she said herself, she has belief in herself. If she truly believed there was a system committed to keeping her down, she wouldn't have belief in herself. She wouldn't believe she could achieve anything because she would believe that these systems were going to keep her down. Number two, he's absolutely right. Your, and not just, your political persuasion, but your hobbies, your activities, your pastimes, you're going to be judged far more harshly for those things than for your race anymore, unless you're a white man. And she doesn't know this. She's probably, never had anything other than a part-time job because she's still in college. She doesn't know this. The first thing big employers do now is they go check your social networking. They check your Facebook. They check your Instagram. They check and see if you've got any posts on X or anything on Snapchat, things like that. If they can view them, that is the first place they go and look, and they will judge you, and they will make hiring decisions based upon what they see there. Okay, if you're going for a professional job and your Facebook is littered with pictures of you, drunk hanging out at the bar, or at Mardi Gras with, a lot of beads or, whatever, you're probably not going to get that job. You are judged for that. And the same is true if you're very boisterous about your political views, if it doesn't align with the prospective employer's political beliefs. It absolutely makes a bigger difference in race. Like I said, unless you're a white man. And I will tell you this, I am in a professional, position. I do make hiring decisions. I do have a large HR company handing me dictates. And I can tell you, I've said it before on videos, I can tell you that they have said explicitly, if you have a white man and a person of color with similar work histories applying for the same job, give preference to the person of color. They're not even shy about it. So discrimination by race does exist in America, but she's got it completely wrong on who it is that's being discriminated against.
One example where you wanted to, where you tried to get a job and you couldn't get it because of your skin color. I'm sure that's true of people who lived in the 1950s. I'm sure it's true of people who lived in the 1850s.
Now,
I'm also sure that doesn't exist today.
What you're telling me is that they're saying that I can't get a job based on my skin color. They're not going to outright say that because of different laws and policies in place, which is why the systemic racism is part of the conversation.
Wait, I didn't even catch that the first time I watched this. You guys probably did. I'm a little slow on the uptake. She just said they're not going to outright say you didn't get the job because of your race, because there are laws in place, because of systemic racism. I got nothing.
So look, I think that here's the thing. Here's the thing. In the 1960s, Martin Luther King said we want to live in a country where we're judged not on our color of our skin, but on the content of our character and our contributions.
Yeah.
We are 60 years later in a promised land far greater than he could have ever imagined. We've elected a black president of the United States. We've had a black attorney general. We've had black success at every level in this country.
You guys see this, right? He's trying to lift her up. He's trying to tell her nothing's standing in her way, and she will not shut up.
So
they can't explicitly say that because they'll get sued. They'll get different legal ramifications. And that's where the intersectionality of the institutionalized systemic racism comes in.
So
because you can't blatantly say that. You hide behind policies and laws to say that.
Tell me if we can find some common ground, because that's my goal of being here. Do you agree with me? The best way to stop discrimination on the basis of race is to stop discriminating on the basis of race. Do you agree with me on that? Because I think that if you want to stop discrimination on the basis of race, let's stop discriminating on the basis of race. Can we agree on that?
You want me to agree with it? You know what? Fine.
So at least we can agree that's a principle.
It's a loaded statement, but okay, it's a loaded statement.
So I think that part of...
See, and that's the problem. Is she, God, she did not want to agree to that because she knew he was going to come back with something. That doesn't make it a loaded statement. It just means that she knows that she's an intelligent young woman. She knows that he's about to get to a point that she don't want to hear. That's all that is.
And let me give you one. You gave me a little give. I'm going to give you one give too. All right. I'm going to give you one give too. I think that, and this may surprise a lot of people in the audience, but it's true, and I'm going to say it. In the last probably year, I think we have started to see something I never would have imagined seeing 10 years ago, which is the slightest uptick of actual anti-black racism in the country. And I'll tell you why we're seeing it.
How?
It's coming as a backlash to years of affirmative action. Because when you take something away from somebody on the basis of their skin color, there's no greater way to foster racism than to take something of value from somebody based on their skin color. And it's sad to see. I don't want to see that in this country, but the best way to get there is restore merit over group quotas. And I think there's no middle ground. Either you believe in merit or you believe in group quotas. You can't have both. I stand for merit, and I think that's better for Americans of every skin color, including black Americans as well. At my company, I found a multi-billion-dollar company. I had a black executive. Okay? And I don't care about her skin color. It doesn't matter to me. I've had black executives at multiple companies I've built. I'll tell you a sad story that happened. She got her job because she was good at what she did, so I recruited her. A guy who wasn't particularly as good at his job didn't get the promotion to the position that she held. You hear the conversation, what do you hear? It says, oh, she only got her job because of her race and gender. Well, actually, in her case, that just wasn't true at all. But the reason he's able to say that is because most other companies in the industry are applying racial quotas to who actually gets those jobs. So it's not good for white Americans or Asians. It's not good for black Americans either. What we need is colorblind meritocracy in America. And affirmative action, I do think, is the biggest form of institutional racism that exists today. That's what I believe.
All right, guys. That's it for that video.
He's able to say that.
Sorry. I'll say he's absolutely right. We need to get back to a meritocracy. You know, coming out of the 60s and the Jim Crow laws and everything else, we needed affirmative action. We had to reset the racist mindset of the nation. Systemic change did need to be put in place at that time. That time is past. Nobody cares about the color of your skin anymore. It's not important. The only thing that should matter is how well you can do the job. How qualified are you for the position? How qualified are you for acceptance into the university, for whatever? You know, the time for the affirmative action has passed. We need to go back to a meritocracy. But that's it. I thought it was a really good conversation. Like I said, I hate when people won't listen, you know, because Vivek wanted to hear what she had to say. I wanted to hear what she had to say. I wanted to hear her opinion, but then she doesn't want to hear the rebuttal, and you can't have a conversation that way. So hopefully we can get to a point where that stops. I do like that we're seeing, you know, conservatives are definitely more willing to put themselves out there to publicly state their support for conservative ideals. You know, Trump winning the popular vote certainly helped. But then, you know, I think you're talking symptom or disease, and which one is which. But I like that people are willing to come forward, because we need to reset. We need to start implementing conservative ideals. We need to start showing these kids that conservatism isn't evil. It's not big corporate America, wealthy. That's not what conservatism is. That's not what conservative ideals are. And we need more people, you know, to stand up and be willing to speak, especially young people. You know, I think you're seeing a lot of that with Charlie Kirk. He's getting so many young people engaged because people need to learn what conservatism really is. And Vivek does a great job of explaining that and also asking questions. You know, he wants to help. He wants to have a conversation. So I really enjoy his videos. I hope you did too. Please like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. God bless you, and we'll see you for the next one.